Steve Olson with WSO. It's May 24th, 2017. I'm here talking and looking at this, by the way, is the same footage that was sent to the That Is Impossible channel a few weeks ago, and he did a great video on it. But again, it's the polarized lens drone flight that you saw, and we're going to analyze that a little bit together, okay? So here is the footage, and he actually goes back and forth on it, trying to see if he can get it to lens flare. And as I push in and up on this thing and look at it really closely, you can see the orbs. The next thing I want to look at is this, okay? This is an IRT camera, NASA IRT-F exterior of the dome. And watch this, and then we're going to manipulate the photograph a little bit here in a second. This is the first time I've seen this. This could be some reflections off the thing, but there is definitely something over here that I've never seen before. Let's take a closer look. Okay, and now with the magic of photo manipulation, I will try to see if we can see what is there. Okay, well, I bump the saturation, then I play with the brightness. I always do it the same way every time. Just look at the brightness a little bit, and then I contrast it up. So now let's look at that as it moves. And you can see some textures on there and so forth. So just an interesting little take on that thing, okay? The next picture I'm going to show you, and this is the orb that we continue to see in Alaska, again, seen today at the Perryville Southeast location. Not as dramatic of an apparition as we had a couple days ago, but there it is. That's untouched. And just like I do, I'm getting to the point now where I think it's best for everybody to kind of see me do it untouched first, and then you can see me bump the saturation up a little bit and bump up the brightness, okay, and a little bit of contrast. There's actually no photoshopping or anything like that going on here. But again, this object has been seen literally all over the world. It's being seen in all cameras now. And you say, well, when I look up, I can't see it. Well, the reason for that is because they're blocking it with special nanotechnology up in our skies. That's why you see these big chemtrailers going around all the time doing that. So it makes it very difficult. But the difference between an eyeball and a camera is a camera will pick up a little bit on the side of IR and a little bit on the side of UV that human eyes don't do. And you have to look at the specifications of each camera to find that out. But in this case, what we're seeing in these pictures is absolutely either a refraction of an object that does not belong in our solar system or the object itself. Now, we've seen this for a long time. So what it convinces me is that we're trapped. This is the Nemesis star hung in its orbit per the information that we've gotten from inside sources, that it came in fast and then it slowed down in 2007 through 2012. And from 2012 to 2017, things were pretty stable. We were still seeing the objects on Setchi, etc. But as we learn more information, we know now that the star itself is back in movement again. So we have to keep a very close eye on it with the things in mind that we know. The next thing I'm going to show you, though, is quite remarkable. This is from a Skycam in New Mexico today. Check this out. Do you see how the object rotates? And do you see this little doodad right here? That, my friends, I believe is the real object down here. And I believe that this is a reflection of that object on that upper layer of the atmosphere. That's why it sometimes has a lot of detail and sometimes doesn't have a lot of detail. It depends on the angle of the camera. But as you can see, this is a large orb surrounded by a red dust with a hole in it. Next thing I want to look at with you, and this is one of those rare shots. I don't know if you guys watch the all sky cameras, but this is, I think, from Moonglow Observatory, and they have been clouding this area really, really bad because I think it's an ideal location to view the system. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. The green planet object shows up, and the red object shows up in this particular cut. There it is. Did you see it? See if I can get it back on here again. But again, these are and then as you'll see tomorrow night when we talk to Bob Evans is going to bring us some earth-shattering photography tomorrow. He's bringing us best shots. Bob has been collecting this stuff for a long time, okay? And I think that we're privileged to have him as a speaker at the Thrive Conference in Boise and in Minneapolis. And we're privileged to have, also now, we have confirmed that David Meade is going to be at the conference. So what this is forming up to be is the Titans of Planet X conference is what it's really turning out to be right now. So make sure you check that out. You know, check out the information. Click on the link below and see if you want to attend that. Similarly, WSO Live, we're putting up premium content every day. There's been, you know, some people have been trying to keep people from looking at our material on there by saying there's nothing there and it's not worth it. Well, I'll tell you something, man. We have no complaints about our content. We might have complaints about some technical issues from time to time, but WSOLive.com has some of the most interesting interviews, pictures, videos, things that you will very, very much value from. Nobody complains about the content on there once they're a member, guys. All right, so let's move on to the next. These pictures, I want to put them in this video today. Guys, it's getting so real right now. You know, when I think about David Meade and date setting and all that kind of stuff, the people that we're talking about, guys, the amount of information that is crashing in right now to all the researchers right now, if you go search Nibiru, there's going to be about 1.7 gazillion hits. The information is leaking out. People are becoming aware. The truth is vibrating. That we're coming into a truth vibration, or at least some of us are. And when you see things like what I'm seeing here, this is very convincing evidence. Because they went and took pictures from the UVMet network, and it turns out that we're seeing not just here. Okay, look at this. Look at it move across the sky. I don't know if I got the timing right here. 253, 310, 340. Remember when Jeff P used to say that was like Nibiru, when you'd see that spider thing like that, and everybody was saying it was a spider on the lens? Well, I guess they were wrong, huh? Let's take a close look at this object. You'll need access to some of these things or find it somewhere else. We're also trying to rebuild our community structure in such a way that people can find each other through the forums and different things that we're doing. So all the things that you see us doing in WSO Live right now are with a sense of urgency and a high cost to try to get everybody as ready as we possibly can get you, while funding the operation at the same time. Do we think it's the end of the world, the end of the internet, the end of everything when this thing starts to blow loose like David Meade and Bob Evans and Father Malachi and all the different people all the way through are saying that 2017 is the year? Well, what is it the year for? It's the year for the appearance of Nibiru. It's the year that we have to deal with it as a race. Deja vu, man. Look at this picture from the HI2 stereo, Sechi Bagush. I'll just let it kind of loop there a second. We saw this happen about a year ago, you guys, and I could not for the life of me tell you what the heck is going on here. But apparently, we'll figure out what that planet here is in just a second. But look at the explosion on this camera. What the... And I won't finish that word. All right, let's take look at another Sechi here real quick. Another weird one from HI1. Again, this one is weird because you're going to see a dome, like kind of a sphere appear behind the Earth there, and we'll analyze that a little bit more closely in a second. I just wanted to give you the first look at it. Everybody says, "Oh, these instruments from NASA are fake." Blah blah blah. You know what? Shut up. I'm sick of hearing it. These are space instruments. They are showing us stuff. They cover stuff up. It's always going to be, you know, if you have sufficient proof of planets in this solar system, they're going to find some damn thing wrong with it because they don't want us to know the truth. I think this is Australia. Yeah, it's Australia. And we're getting this big, you're going to see the same thing over here in Alaska here in just a second. What I'm more interested in is all that's going on over here. Watch what happens in this like little teeny time lapse. You got all this movement going on, and that's not fake. That's real. We're not photoshopping or doing anything, man. You can go look to any of these like airport cams and see them for yourself. No problemo. Here's what we started to see down there, and this is what I wanted to point out and look at real quick. And basically, you've got this kind of orb with the center end again, and now it's starting to have this translucently, like, shiny-looking thing to it. And it's not a lens flare, guys. That's not how they work. Bleh. And here's another. I'm in a squirrely mood today. Here's another one where we're seeing it in Alaska, but this one is really weird because look at how it's got the tail on it, man. Doesn't that remind you of what the ancients said about it? This kind of thing with the tail on it. Again, an untouched photo from Alaska, guys. You know, people are just pulling off on the side of the road and take pictures of this stuff now, guys. This isn't like a debate anymore. Getting hats in the ring and start debating each other and reaching each other's audience with better information. Why would we ever give the trolls any voice? And that's the policy now of WSO. I've taken the advice of everybody I've listened to over the last week. We will not entertain or promote or publish or discuss trolls anymore. That is it. We're about research right now. Further, man, because you guys got to see this stuff. Look at this. Here's another airportview.net view, and we're just getting these huge orbs up in the sky, guys. And again, there's not really a debate anymore. It's more, it's more what are we looking at, not a debate about if it's here or not, And, we get a lot of people just critiquing us all the time about this kind of stuff. But how could you call that a lens flare, man? What kind of crazy person do you think I am? Dude, we can see, texture and stuff. This reminds me of what Gary was seeing in Wainwright the other day. Hey, Gary was the first one to catch this one, man. And here it is, as plain as day. I mean, what can you say to this, guys? Really? You're going to try to tell me that all of the stuff that we're showing is just totally false, and it just gets more and more every day. To reach out to anybody who wants to give information that has credible data. If they don't want to respond to us, that's fine too. We love you, man. Go do your own thing, free choice and all that. But listen, we're better, stronger together than we are different and separate. And our enemies is not the trolls. The trolls are just an inconvenience. Think about who our real enemies are. The ones that want our souls, the ones that want to keep us on this prison planet. Jesus, the ones that, like Jesus came to set us free from and save us from. That's the real battle. It's the principalities and it's the powers and the rulers in dark places. It's not people, man.
Not long ago, a lot of farmland in California looked like this. We are absolutely hacking away at this drought right now. This is good in the long run.
What's being referred to as a once-in-a-decade storm is causing flood warnings, mudslides, wreaking havoc, to say the very least. We know at least 4 people have died in California as a result of these storms. Storms coming one after another, and we're told they may not let up until later this week. More than 1,000 homes, some 1,300 in Reno, Nevada, have been evacuated due to flooding threats. According to officials, Interstate 80 in Reno also closed because of a large mudslide. The mud and rock covering a huge section of that road. In some places, the mud as deep as 7 feet.
Ridiculous. Wow. So, because of the rain, half my yard is in the street.
Tierra, concreto. We got a lot of trees, a lot of concrete, and dirt. Thank God my kids weren't playing in the yard and that no one got hurt. Here, thank God my kids weren't playing in the yard.
That is going to be the case in California. Mudslides, a huge concern. Rocks and dirt crushed this news van just south of San Jose. The mudslide covered northbound lanes as the morning commute was about to start. The Highway Patrol warns that drivers, this is what could happen to anybody, really.
Evacuations are underway. Juliet?
Liz, hundreds of people had to evacuate. I had to tell you, it was dry this afternoon, so it gave people kind of a sense of relief. But the rain has kicked in. This neighborhood behind me, well, you can't really even go into it because of the feet of water right now. This RV camp that is usually along the Russian River is now in it. The people living here had to clear out, making sure everyone is safe. To give you a little perspective and a lay of the land, this is someone's backyard. You can see their car is almost submerged right now. And then, how are people in Guerneville dealing with this? Well, right over my shoulder, my photographer John Ramis is going to show you. These two women are actually having to walk to their house after the grocery store, and this is their walk to their
Crews
front door.
dismantled this tree that squashed 2 cars in the Sunnyvale neighborhood around 9 this morning. Tierra says his uncle's car is totaled.
year-old Monterey pine, roughly 70 feet tall. Because of years of drought, the roots had become so brittle that it simply toppled during this storm.
Superstorm Sandy 4 years ago.
One after another, wind-whipped waves crashed ashore off Long Beach, a powerful sign of what's to come overnight. Serious flooding is expected to reach the many homes that hug the coast. City workers have hurriedly built existing dunes higher while clearing sewers and storm drains of any debris, and they're relying on the new boardwalk to withstand this storm.
It's a dramatically different structure than it was before. We've got bulkheading driven 20 feet into the ground in front of it to protect it. We've got a concrete substructure, hurricane straps, and floatable sustainable hardwood.
The city manager says he doesn't expect the kind of damage seen with Superstorm Sandy and believes the worst flooding will actually occur on the north side of Long Beach Bayside in Reynolds Channel.
We lost everything completely, and we were displaced for about 8 months.
Left homeless by Superstorm Sandy, Julia Lopez Motherway says she and her family decided not to rebuild their Long Beach home and instead moved into a condo in one of the high-rises lining the shore. Meanwhile, power crews are at the ready and already busy clearing trees knocked onto power lines by these fierce winds.
Jersey Shore, one of the areas taking the worst hit in all of this is Wildwood.
Right now we've got a major northeaster.
And with the wind, rain, and minor flooding slamming beach towns down the shore, emergency response officials are closely monitoring what this wicked weather is doing.
It is a dangerous storm because of the high winds.
Marty Palugi is the director of emergency management for Cape May County, and he says his biggest concern for this weather system is the wind.
Still very much a problem here at the Jersey Shore tonight, but the bigger concern overnight into tomorrow will be flooding, especially with high tide approaching. High winds whipped up sand and salt water while battering beach fences in Bayhead, New Jersey Monday night, and traffic lights swayed above the few who dared to drive in this mess. Won't find anyone at this condo complex in Long Branch who disagrees. The relentless wind left part of the roof dangling off the side of the building. Then another piece crashed, wreaking havoc on cars below. Threat that lasted throughout the day, as CBS 2's Meg Baker found out at noon.
Here comes the roof. Just came down. The roof just came down.
Now the big concern is coastal flooding. We saw emergency crews out in force setting up cones to close off residential streets already underwater. Dangerous conditions due to this January nor'easter that's not done yet. At this hour, nearly 4,000 customers across New Jersey are still without power. Again, emergency responders asking very sincerely tonight for as many people to stay off the roads as possible. Let them do their
One was a student who lost 3 fingers when a door slammed shut on her hand. Now, most of the buildings at the private Christian school were damaged, some pretty extensively, as you can see by these pictures, and students have had to pack up their things and relocate until those buildings can be inspected for safety. And you've just seen the images, cars overturned, roofs ripped up, trees snapped, power lines down. So you can see why safety is the university's top priority. One thing that did survive, however, was a statue of Christ, and many students are now looking at that as a symbol of hope on the road to recovery.
A Christian university in Mississippi was also hit hard by those devastating tornadoes. William Carey University in Hattiesburg suffered extensive damage, but thankfully no one was killed.
earthquakes. The epicenter was in the area in central Italy, about 100 miles north of Rome, where we saw such devastation in October and in August.
Cold snap. Amatrice, destroyed in a fatal earthquake that left around 300 dead in August, was once again shaken to the core. Residents have taken to the streets to call for central government help to accelerate the reconstruction process. The latest tremors hit 3 neighbouring regions, Abruzzo, Lazio and Marche. Schools have been closed and the Rome Underground shut as a safety precaution. The area north of the capital has suffered a number of earthquakes in recent times, and seismologists believe a further disaster could soon strike the region. Scientists have long known that central Italy is vulnerable to tremors because the region is being stretched in a northeast-southwest direction at a rate estimated at 3 millimeters per year.
The board takes the unprecedented step, the first time in its history, of moving the clock hand 30 seconds closer to
show we may be closer to the end of the world. It largely factors in nuclear weapons. Last night, President Trump said having the nuclear codes is sobering and scary, but he is confident he will make the right decisions.
Suggesting South Korea and Japan might acquire their own nuclear weapons to compete with North Korea.
The doomsday clock is closer to midnight than it's ever been in the lifetime of almost everyone in this room.
It is now 2.5 minutes to midnight. The first has been the cavalier and reckless language used across the globe, especially in the United States during the presidential election and after, around nuclear weapons and nuclear threats. And the second is a growing disregard of scientific expertise that is needed when it comes to responding to pressing global challenges, including climate change. The board concludes in no uncertain terms that words matter in ensuring the safety and security of our planet. They are not the same as actions, but they matter a lot, especially when the risks of accident and miscalculation are so high. They have the ability to be walked back, but so too, as we have seen, influential actors alter their behavior in response to loose talk.
For the first time since 1953, following hydrogen bomb tests in the U.S. and then Soviet Union, a panel of scientists and scholars have warned that we are creeping close to a potential global apocalypse. The Chicago-based Bulletin of Atomic Scientists have moved the doomsday clock, a symbolic countdown to the end of the world, to 2.5 minutes to midnight. The group cited U.S. President Donald Trump's disturbing comments about the use of nuclear weapons, denials on the reality of climate change, and the global rise of nationalism as just some of the contributing factors in this dark forecast of the future. The emblematic clock had remained at 3 minutes to midnight for the past 2 years. Since 1945, a team of Nobel laureates at the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists has been compiling research and global data to set the doomsday clock.
Advance the time out of a growing concern about the deterioration in relations between the United States and Russia, two countries that account for more than 90% of the world's nuclear weapons. It did so also for unchecked nuclear modernization programs in every nuclear state, and a lack of global action in response to climate change.
The hands came the closest to midnight, 2 minutes away, in 1953, after the U.S. and the Soviet Union tested their first hydrogen bombs.
This seems to me to be more a day for a searching of the human soul, perhaps, than for any kind of scientific celebration.